Recently, I've been thinking of how to bypass the same household restrictions set up by Netflix. Most of the solutions out there were to install VPNs, Tailscale on the TV, but my LG TV didn't have that option. So over here is a diagram of how I overcome the restriction. So over on the left, we can see my current setup, whereby I have my TV connected directly to the router. When I open Netflix app on my TV, all the packets get sent through my network. And when Netflix sees that, it can determine that I'm not from the primary household, which is from my dad's place. So the proposed solution is we will set up a Tailscale exit node at my dad's place, and over on my side have a Raspberry Pi running Tailscale connected to the exit node. And this Raspberry Pi will provide our TV with internet. So packets coming from the TV will pass through directly to the Raspberry Pi and out to the exit node and to Netflix. So in this flow, Netflix will see that packets is actually coming from my dad's place, but the packet itself is actually routed through Tailscale network and to my TV itself. By preparing a clean OS for Raspberry Pi, open up your browser and search for Raspberry Pi Imager. Click on the link of the official Raspberry Pi site and download the correct file for your operating system. Once downloaded, you should see something like this. I selected the Raspberry Pi 4 as my device, and for the operating system, Raspberry Pi OS Lite 64-bit. For the storage, select your microSD card and click Next. Now edit settings. I gave my Raspberry Pi a hostname of proxy, and under services I enabled SSH with password authentication. Make sure that this is the microSD card that you want to format and click confirm. It should take a while, but once it's done, remove the SD card from your computer and very carefully plug it into your Raspberry Pi. Now here are all the items that you need. First, take the USB Ethernet dongle and connect it to the LAN cable with the other end connected to the TV. Now plug the USB Ethernet dongle into the USB port of the Raspberry Pi. Next, take the LAN cable connected to the router and insert it to the Raspberry Pi. Now finally, take the Type-C cable and power the Raspberry Pi. That's all for the hardware side. Now we'll move on to setting up our configuration on the Pi. On your computer, open up Terminal and we will SSH into our Pi. We'll first set up IP forwarding by entering this command. Next, we will set up an IP address for our interface ETH1. And we will bring the connection up. Now if we type ifconfig, we will be able to see our IP address set for ETH1. Now the next step is to set up DNS MASQ. So firstly, we will update our repository and install the package. This package will set up a DHCP server on our Raspberry Pi, which will provide the TV with an IP address. Once the package is installed, we'll edit the configuration. Now add the following inside the DNS MASQ config file and save it. We'll then restart the service with systemctl restart DNS MASQ. Now at this point in time, if you check your TV's network connection, it will have an IP address, but there will be still no internet connectivity. Still a few more steps left, so let's continue. Back at our terminal, let's install Tailscale. Once Tailscale is installed, we run the command tailscale up and log in through the link provided. Upon a success login, we'll type tailscale status to see our network. Now the exit node here is my dad's place, so I'll take note of the IP address. Now before we set up the exit node, let's check our current IP address. So over here you can see from Singapore and my IP address is this. Now we will run sudo tailscale set exit node and paste in the IP address of my dad's place. If you do a code request again, you'll see that the IP address is coming from another location, so the exit node is working correctly. Now we'll set up some IP table rules and also a IP route for our network so that the packets can flow correctly. You can run IP route flush cache to force a refresh of the network connection. And if everything is set up correctly, you should see the TV is now connected to the internet. At this point of time, you should be able to access Netflix, but if you reboot your Raspberry Pi, all of the configurations will be removed. To have a persistent configuration, we will first set up a systemd service to add the IP rule for our subnet. So this will be run every time the Raspberry Pi reboots. Next, we will set up another service which will bring up the Ethernet 1 interface when it reboots. And finally, we will install iptables persistent to save our iptables configurations. And that's it. We can reboot our Raspberry Pi and test if everything is working correctly. So upon a reboot, our Ethernet 1 IP address is being set. And let's check our IP tables. Yep, it seems like everything is being saved and restored correctly. In the event you want packets to flow through your own network, you can type tailscale set --exit node equals. This will route your packets through your own network instead of the exit node. Now, if everything is set up properly, your Netflix should be able to connect to the servers and you should be able to load Netflix from now on. And that's it. I've also prepared a Notion page where I document all the steps that I've taken, so do check it out in the description below.